Okay, so I'm Rebecca. I am doing this video to share my story. Um, it's not that I feel like my story is more important than anybody else's, or that I feel like I know more than others or have more to offer or give than anybody else. I am doing this in hopes to encourage others to share their stories, to open up and be honest and acknowledge any pain or loss or hurt that they may be feeling inside, and know that they're not alone. In this world, in my career, I see a lot of hurt and damage and pain and loss, and people making choices because of their circumstances. And instead of realizing that they are not their circumstances, but their circumstances are lessons to be learned from, they use those as crutches and make choices in life that maybe they're not proud of, but they don't know another way. So I'm just hoping that I can encourage others toward positivity and to be real and open and yeah. So I'm just gonna get into it. So my story is, as an adult looking back, I can say that it's pretty tragic. I started out the second of five children, of a mother who has an addiction problem. And though she was, when she wasn't using or drinking, a relatively good mother under the circumstances, not very much money, couldn't really offer us too much. She was good to us. The people that she surrounded us with or herself with were not so good to us. There were many instances of physical and sexual abuse. It's really hard to speak about this out loud because it's not something that I share with people. It's very private. It's very personal. There were many times that I was so scared and so lost and alone, and didn't know what to do. I knew that what was happening to me was wrong, but there wasn't anything I could do. I was just a child. So then, as I got older and I was rescued from those circumstances and placed in a home where I was shown better ways to do things. I was in therapy for a really long time, and I learned a lot of great coping mechanisms and skills from that. It took a long time for me to see my worth and who I was and have the right ideas about life and love and sex and choices and responsibility, because they were at such a young age taught to me so wrong. And I was so afraid of so much. I was terrified of boys and sex, and yet people's perception of me because of the way that I carried myself was somebody who was very sexualized and very not a virgin. And I technically was, technically wasn't, but by choice. I It's hard to explain when you are molested or the product of rape. For me, I was still a virgin because it wasn't my choice. When I was 13, I was raped again, 2 nights in a row. One night I was with a friend and we went out to a party. We snuck out of the house because it was going to be really cool, and it was a bunch of older people, 18, 19 and up. I passed out. I was 13. I woke up in the middle of it, and he was 19. Um, and that was that. The next night, even though the night before it was wrong and I didn't like it, I felt like everybody else is doing it and I shouldn't feel bad about it. It should be fine because that's what everybody else is doing. It happened again. This time with a different group of people, and this time he was older, and it was in a vacant parking lot. Needless to say, I felt disgusting and just really like I wasn't, I couldn't be like everybody else that was having sex and having that lifestyle. I couldn't do that. But I wanted to have close friendships and relationships, and I wanted to be able to be real, but I didn't feel like I could be me, who I really was inside. And I know that that is the case for so many people. So I just kind of started down a path of reckless behavior. I was always terrified of drugs. I didn't want to end up like my biological mother. So I stayed away from drugs, thankfully. But just kind of making poor choices, doing poorly in school. I had a boyfriend that I was so in love with because we were in high school and it was amazing. And I lost my virginity to him when I was 17. And that is, even that, it was just so toxic. And it felt like every relationship since then was just so toxic. And I don't think things really started to change for me until I was pregnant with my first son, who just, I was so terrified and I didn't know what to do. And his dad and I had only been dating for a short time. And I was so adamant that I was going to be nothing like my biological mom and I was going to give him everything and I was going to be everything. And I just wasn't happy inside of myself. There were so many things missing, but I didn't know what they were and I didn't know where to go to get that help. Before that, I had been in a seriously physically abusive relationship, ended up in the hospital a couple of times, separated myself from my family because I was so embarrassed and ashamed and I didn't know what to do. And then, it turns out that my son's father was very just emotionally unavailable, just completely vacant of love and emotion and communication and all those things that we all maybe can address or say that we can relate to an extent in a relationship, especially women talking about men because men are so okay, I'm getting off track. But so I'm doing that life, I'm pregnant, we're gonna do this and I'm gonna be a great mother. And I ended up deciding that I was going to leave his father when he was 5 months old because I wanted to give him a good life. I wanted to try. I wanted to give him a good chance. And the relationship that we had was really toxic and it was really vacant and it was just really empty. So when I left him, I got a job. I moved in with a girlfriend and her husband and was trying to get things in order. Out of nowhere, according to his father and his really good, really shady attorney, I was an abusive mother who had drug and alcohol problems, and I couldn't give him a stable home. So he got custody of my son from me, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't afford an attorney. I was struggling as it was, but I was still taking care of my son. And I couldn't get him back. I fought and fought, couldn't get him back. So I went back to him. I had to be with my son. So I went back to my son's father. From there, it was a constant struggle. I wanted to do it right. I wanted to be a good girlfriend. I wanted to be a great mother. And I just wasn't right. It just never felt right. And I did that for 10 years, had another child with him. We got married. Nothing changed in regards to our relationship, really, other than that I just became more tolerant. So during this time, I realized that I'm growing up and I'm realizing that I have baggage. I have issues. When I was younger and I was in therapy, I was diagnosed with PTSD and a lot of other things that I never really fully addressed or got the help for that I needed. So I started doing a lot of writing, doing a lot of reading, and starting to face those things about myself and starting to address them. I wanted to be not only a good mother, but a great mother. And I wanted to give my children the healthiest, happiest home that I could possibly. I had a daughter. And after I realized that I was having a girl, that's when I stopped putting on, 5 gallons of makeup before I left the house, and stopped being fake, and I wanted to present the real me to the world because I wanted her to be real and not feel like she had to be fake. And so along with that, it's kind of that fake it till you make it thing. And I was putting on this amazing front that I was, confident in who I was and what I looked like. And I wasn't ashamed of the fact that I wasn't wearing a bunch of makeup. And eventually I started to see that, okay, I'm actually not a horrible person. And I've been through some pretty horrific things, but that doesn't define who I am. And my children aren't living a life like that. My ex-husband, my children's father, was still the same person that he was when I got together with him. There was no growth, there was no change, and that's okay to an extent, right? I mean, we are who we are, and sometimes we go into relationships expecting that someone will change or hoping that they'll change. But can you really change who you are? I mean, I feel like that's a great debate to get into. But he stayed him, and I needed more. I needed to be able to love me and accept me for who I was, and grow and experience the world and teach my children what love should look like if the opportunity arose. So I divorced him. That was a rough time, trying to start life over again and accept this new life, and how things were. And I just did it. And it was really difficult at first. We were sharing 50-50 custody. I tried to make sure that I left him with everything. I don't want the house. I don't want the dishes. I don't want anything. You can have it all. I don't want to fight about anything. We can do whatever custody arrangement we need to do for the kids. He said he wanted 50-50 because he didn't want to have to pay child support. I was like, okay, whatever, as long as I can get out of this and they can be happy and I can be happy, let's just do it. And so we did it. And we were having I ended up in the hospital a couple times because I internalize my stress a lot and don't communicate it outwardly often. And I run around with a smile on my face all the time and pretend like there's nothing going on in here or in here. But it all just kind of works its way down here. And it made me sick. But got through it, co-parenting greatly. Everything seems to be going great. My career is booming. I'm just doing great. Life is just going good, and I'm so proud of myself. I don't have child support. I don't have state assistance. I am paying my bills. I am buying my kids groceries. They are clean every day when they go to school. They know that they are loved. They are taken care of. And boom, my ex-husband has found the one. I couldn't be more elated. I was so excited. We went to breakfast. He told me all about her. And I was so excited to meet her and have this other woman be a part of their life and give them love and have a second mom. And I was so excited for all of that. And then slowly things started to change, which can be expected, right? When someone new comes in, they want to start their life and they want to have their rules and their dynamics in their home. Completely understandable. They started to do things that were what I felt was wrong. Little things, We had agreed, my ex-husband and I, that we wouldn't cut our daughter's hair because it was so beautiful and long, and it was just like mine, naturally curly and thick and beautiful. They cut her hair. She, the new woman, didn't want me to meet my ex-husband at the door anymore because of her own insecurities. She didn't like him and I having face-to-face conversations. So I was to drop my children off at the end of the driveway. So things like that started to kind of compile. It didn't matter that I felt that it was not fair to the children for them to be getting this, for their lives to be changing so much, because it was their house, their rules, which was a direct quote from him. So then it went from that to all of a sudden, I'm getting served papers, CPS is involved, I'm abusing my children, there's an investigation, I lose custody of my children for 3 freaking months while they're doing an investigation, and I have to get all these witness statements and prove that I'm not this horrible mother. So humiliating when I am not this woman that I'm being made out to be. Really, really ugly, really long story. CPS is done with their investigation. They recommend we go back to our 50-50 custody arrangement. Everything is good. Finally getting my babies back. Life is going to be really good. Then I get served papers from court. I cannot pick up my children because there is now a restraining order. My ex-husband and his new wife had decided that they wanted the children to themselves and they didn't want to have to share them with me. She wanted me out of their lives completely. I have not seen my 2 oldest children in over a year now. I'm not authorized to. I have to do jump through a bunch of hoops that cost a lot of money that I can't afford. I have my youngest child, who is amazing, and he's wonderful, and he asks for his brother and sister every day. So anyway, I have my youngest child because he is not the product of my ex-husband. He came from this guy that I was dating for just a couple of months after the divorce, who turned out to be not my favoriteest boyfriend, but the best dad that I could ever ask for any of my children. He's an amazing father. Super supportive. Can't believe this is happening. I'm dealing with all of this, doing this, trying to live this life, trying to start a career, and all the while, I have days where I feel like life's really just not worth living anymore. I just don't know what I have to offer anymore. My identity was in my children. I was a mother, and I was a great damn mother. And now all of a sudden, I'm not this kick-ass single mom of 3 kids. I'm a mom minus 2 kids with 1 child. And I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be a mom to just 1 because I haven't done that in over 11 years. I guess instead of continuing on with that story, I just want to cut myself off and just say that life fucking sucks sometimes. And it's really, really ugly. And from the beginning of mine until now, I'm 31 years old, it's been really fucking rough. And it's been really tragic when you look at it, that people can have so much control over your happiness. And yet we're told that we are the ones who are in control of our happiness. And I look at that and I take it literally. And I try really hard to be in control of my happiness. So I wake up every single day, and before I get out of bed, every single day, I find a reason to get out of bed. I find something to focus on that's happy, that's positive, that's going to get me through knowing that I'm not going to see my babies today. knowing that I was raped multiple times, that I was molested, was that I was the product of a broken home, an alcoholic, addictive mother with multiple partners and lots of abuse. I think for me, accepting all of these things, accepting that those are not me, those things that I've experienced and I've been put through, my present circumstances are not me. They're not who I am. The person that I am is somebody who is loving and has a ton of love to give, who is compassionate and has a ton of empathy. And I'm here. You know, I want to share my story because though it's incredibly humiliating to me that I've been put through all of these things, that I've been accused of such horrible things, I know what's true. And though there's been times that I've questioned, excuse me, that I've questioned, what if these things that he's saying about me are true? What if I am this horrible person? I'm not. I know that I'm not. And though I have those weak moments where I question and wonder, I know that he is a product of his childhood. And he's never accepted who he is. He's never learned to love himself. And he only knows what he knows. And that is pain and inflicting it. And so he gets to do that. And there's nothing I can do about it. And there's not a worse feeling in the world than somebody taking your babies from you. So, this is not supposed to be videos about my sob story. This is supposed to tell you that though life can really fucking suck sometimes, you can find reasons to be happy and push forward and know that there is an end in sight. There's been an end every time for me, and there's one more thing that pops up that's really, really ugly, and I get through it and I come out stronger. And people told me that I would, and I thought that they were full of shit. But every time I've come out stronger and I've come out fighting every time. And I don't want you to think that you are a product of your circumstances, but that your circumstances are something that you can learn from to become a better person and a stronger person. I every day find something to be positive about and smile about. I go to work with a smile on my face and try to encourage others to do the same. Something that I feel is important to remember when we wake up grumpy or rude, or we're rude to other people, we don't know their story. We don't know the pain that they've endured, what they're going through in their day-to-day life. Who are we to judge? Why do we bring people down instead of lifting them up? Why wouldn't we do that for other people? Is there not enough ugly in the world? For me, to survive is to be as positive as possible under the circumstances that my life has handed me. This is what I have. I have this beautiful home. I don't have all of my children to fill it, and it hurts every day. One day, they will be back in my arms again. I'm confident of that because nothing lasts forever. And when people are wrong, the truth comes out. I feel like it's important that I encourage other people, women, men, who have experienced similar circumstances, love and loss and anger and hatred and hurt. I just want to encourage you to share your story instead of doing what I have done and do often, because I can't tell everybody my story like I am now. I'll say, I'm going to go pick up my kids. I've got a day, this is my weekend with my kids. I only have one kid currently. I don't want to lie anymore. I don't want you to feel like you have to lie. Be proud of who you are and where you're at in life and how you got there and what you got through to get to where you are. So I want to stand up. I'm sitting right now, but I'm standing up and sharing my story. And there's so much more, a lot more detail. And I plan on sharing more videos and hopefully more encouragement and not such sadness. So that way you can feel like you can share your story. You can come out and be you and accept the life that you've been handed and move forward and move up. Fucking move up. Keep going in life, not give up, and don't let those other people or those other circumstances push you down and keep you down. I have my moments too, though I walk around with a smile on my face and I can still laugh every day. I have moments where I cannot get out of bed. It's real life. It's real life. And instead of pretending on social media that we have amazing, beautiful lives, let's be real with each other. Let's talk about the problems. Let's face them, and let's become stronger together. That's what we need more than anything else. The biggest problem is that people don't talk. People pretend. And that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. I want you to feel strong too. No more pretending. I think I probably got off track or didn't say everything that I wanted to say or tell my story the way that I really wanted to. I feel like there was so much more that I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it like in 10 minutes, so it was nice and short and sweet. But that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah, life is not pretty and it's not perfect, but there are moments of beauty that you have to cherish and remember and hold on to, and use those to help you to get out of bed every morning. Motivate. You can motivate yourself. You don't need a man to do it. You don't need a woman to do it. You can get out of bed and you can do it yourself. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with you. You don't have to live with them. I think that there's a few different topics that I want to touch on, and I will in later videos, just about, insecurities, preconceived notions about sex, long-term effects of traumatic events that have happened. I'm saying a lot, and I don't like that. So I think I'm just going to end it there and say thank you for listening to my story. I'm sorry that it's so long, and hopefully you can understand. I didn't get too off track or one way or the other. Have a great day. Have a really, really, really good day, and know that you're not alone. You can message me, you can comment on my post, and we can maybe encourage each other. And we can get through this life happy. That's what we all want, right? Happiness. Okay. Thanks.